What's happening? Thanks for joining me. I'm Chris. We're going to look at something kind of fun today. This is a 2010 Sierra Nevada Bigfoot. I think I've mentioned in some past reviews that I'm trying to build up a vertical to 20 years, so each year I'm taking out however many I have built up to that year. This year happens to be 6, but my 2009s, I only have 3 of them left, so they're coming out at 10, 15, and 20. And it's kind of one of those things, it becomes a lot to do every year. You don't necessarily want to sit down, you can't find anyone, and just drink through like 6 straight beers to see how it's aging. But I decided this year I'm just going to take them out sporadically, try them here and there. So this is the 2010, and it is a, if you don't know, it's a Barleywine from Sierra Nevada. It's an American style. Fresh, this is really bitter, hoppy, very resinous, malty, lots of caramel and toffee, and it comes in at, I believe it's right around 10%. Sure, it's somewhere there. Either way, you saw it in the beginning of the video. So a lot of people like it fresh. So far my favorite's been about a year old. This one's roughly 4 right now. I find that with a year you still have a little bit of the bitterness, but a lot more of the caramel and toffee notes come up and balance it a lot more. I feel fresh, it's just a little too abrasive, a little too bitter. I always like to have one just to have a point of reference every year for remembering what it's like. But let's take a look at the 2010. So it's pouring a really dark, like a dark ruby, auburn kind of color. And it gave about 2 fingers, finger and a half of some khaki colored, really dense kind of rocky looking head there. So overall, looking real nice, and there still seems to be plenty of carbonation coming up off the bottom. Nose has big pine notes. That's the first thing I'm getting. There's definitely some underlying rich malt. Some slight caramel, slight toffee. Just it seems to be really blended. Just the pine notes in that malt just seem to be the main things I'm pulling out here. Not detecting any sort of alcohol or anything like that. Well, let's get to the fun part. 4-year-old Bigfoot. Cheers. It still has a whole lot of bitterness to it, but it's really starting to round out I feel we're really sort of, I think, at the end of the hops sort of stage. And that's still falling off. This might fall under maybe the awkward category. Beers tend to go through that as they age. They go through these peaks and valleys of, better tasting and not so good tasting points. This is still good. I just think it's dipping down in one of those valleys. The bitterness, I think, still sort of overwhelms everything else. The toffee and caramel notes are there, but they're not as present as they've actually been in newer vintages that I've had. So if I go back and have a 2013, I think it'll be a little more present. So there's not a whole lot of alcohol I'm coming out with. There's not really much of an oxidation to it. It just sort of feels to be in one of those weird development stages. There's plenty of carbonation. Mouthfeel is great. It's definitely on the heavier side. But yeah, overall I would say, it's a great beer for aging, and it's not drinking bad at all. I've definitely had various stages, and it's just through one of those. But this is this year's tasting of the 2010, so my dog's barking, and I'm gonna wrap this one up. So I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this. Hope you're enjoying something as well, and see you next time. Cheers.